Life changes in an instant, not when you win the lottery, not when you get that dream job, and not when everything finally falls into place. Life changes the moment you decide to change your mind. I remember standing in my kitchen one morning in 1992, staring at a pile of bills, feeling that familiar weight of worry. But something was different that day. Maybe I had finally reached my breaking point, or maybe the universe decided it was time. I realized that my entire life, every success, every failure, every moment of joy or pain wasn't happening to me. It was happening because of me. That's what I want to share with you today. The most powerful force in the universe isn't electricity, gravity, or even love. It's the power of a made-up mind. Your mind, right now, in this moment, you hold the key to transforming everything. Every invention, every business, every achievement in human history started as a thought in someone's mind. The Wright brothers didn't start with an airplane. They started with a thought. What if humans could fly? That thought, that simple shift in mindset from impossible to what if, changed the world forever. You're sitting here right now carrying around thoughts that were given to you by others. Your parents, teachers, friends, society, they all planted seeds in your mind. Some of these thoughts serve you well, but others are like weeds choking out your potential. I'm too old. I'm not smart enough. That's not for people like me. These thoughts aren't facts. They're choices. And starting today, you're going to make different choices. I've spent decades studying successful people, and here's what I've learned. Success leaves clues. The most successful people aren't necessarily the most talented, the most educated, or the luckiest. They're the ones who understand that mindset is everything. Let me share something profound. Your mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. When you vividly imagine success, your brain creates the same neural patterns as if you were actually experiencing it. This isn't some feel-good theory. It's scientific fact. Olympic athletes use this principle. Top executives use this principle. And starting today, you're going to use this principle. But here's where most people go wrong. They wake up each morning, turn on the news, check their social media, and fill their minds with other people's problems, other people's successes, other people's lives. They start their day in reaction mode instead of creation mode. By 9 a.m., their mind is already cluttered with limiting thoughts. They see it all the time. Talented people trapped by their own thinking. A brilliant artist who never shows her work because there's too much competition. A natural entrepreneur who stays in a dead-end job because starting a business is too risky. A gifted speaker who remains silent because who would want to listen to me? These aren't external barriers. They're mental prisons. We build ourselves. Every time you say, I can't, I'm not ready, or maybe someday, you're laying another brick in that prison wall. How many opportunities have you passed up because your mind told you that's not possible? How many dreams have you shelved because the timing isn't right? How many times have you stopped yourself before even starting because someone else is already doing it better? These thoughts feel real. They feel logical. They feel like they're protecting you from failure or disappointment, but they're lying to you. They're not protecting you. I once met a man who spent 30 years saying, I'll start my business when the kids are older. The kids grew up, went to college, started their own families. He still didn't start. Why? Because it was never about the kids. It was about his mindset. The when-then trap had become his comfort zone. Your current reality, everything you see around you right now, is the perfect reflection of your past thinking. If you want a different reality, you need different thinking. Not tomorrow, not when the conditions are perfect, not when you have more time, money, or confidence. Right now. There comes a moment in every person's life when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change. I call this the awakening moment. It's that instant when something inside you shifts and you suddenly see everything differently. For some, it happens during crisis. I remember talking to Sarah, a single mother who lost her job during a company downsizing. She had 2 young children, 3 months of savings, and a mountain of fear. But instead of breaking down, she broke through. I realized she told me that I'd been using my job as an excuse not to pursue my real dreams. Being laid off wasn't my tragedy. It was my opportunity. Within 6 months, Sarah had started a home-based business that now employs 12 people. The crisis didn't give her any new skills. It didn't give her more time or money. It simply changed her mindset. She stopped seeing herself as a victim and started seeing herself as a creator. For others, the awakening comes quieter, like Michael, a middle-aged accountant who one day looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. Not physically, but spiritually. He'd spent 20 years building someone else's dream, following someone else's rules, living someone else's life. In that moment, he finally asked himself, if not now, when? That simple question changed everything. Michael didn't quit his job the next day. That's not what this is about. Instead, he started writing for 1 hour every morning before work, something he'd always wanted to do but never had time for. 1 year later, his first book was published. Now he's helping others find their voice through writing workshops. Here's what I want you to understand. Your awakening moment doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to come from crisis or loss or pain. It can happen right here, right now, in this very moment, to a simple decision. Power isn't something you get. It's something you realize you already have. It's like electricity in a house. The power is already there, flowing through the walls. But until you flip the switch, you're sitting in darkness. Your mindset is that switch. I've seen people transform their lives in an instant once they grasp this truth. A switch flips in their mind, and suddenly they realize they've had the power all along. Every excuse, every limitation, every I can't dissolves in the light of this understanding. Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile. For decades, experts said it was impossible. They claimed the human body wasn't capable of running that fast. They had scientific proof. But Bannister didn't buy into that mindset. He broke the record. And within just 1 year, 37 other runners did too. The only thing that changed was their mindset. Your power isn't in your circumstances. It's not in your background, your education, or your connections. Your power is in your perception. Change your perception, and you change your life. This is your awakening moment. Right now, not because I'm saying it is, but because you're ready for it. You wouldn't be hearing these words, feeling this stirring in your spirit, if you weren't ready. Will you recognize it? Will you seize it? Will you let this be the moment everything changes? The 5 core principles that will reshape your mindset forever. First is taking complete responsibility. This is the foundation of everything. Most people spend their lives in blame mode. They blame the economy, the government, their boss, their parents, their spouse. But here's the truth. The moment you take complete responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you take complete control of your life. I remember talking to a man named Tom. He'd been laid off after 20 years at the same company. He was angry, bitter, blaming everyone for his situation. Then one day, he decided to take responsibility. Not for being laid off, but for what happened next. Within 6 months, he had started his own consulting business. Within a year, he was making twice his old salary. The circumstance didn't change, his mindset did. When you take responsibility, you take back your power. Every time you blame someone or something else, you give away your power to change the situation. You become a victim of circumstances instead of a creator of circumstances. Complete responsibility means saying, I am where I am because of me, and only I can change it. The second principle is believing in infinite possibilities. Your mind is like a thermostat. If you set it to 70 degrees, it will maintain 70 degrees no matter what. If you set your mind to earning $50,000 a year, that's what you'll earn. If you set it to $500,000, your mind will find a way. The possibilities are literally infinite, but only if you believe they are. I met a woman named Maria who grew up in poverty. Everyone told her that was her lot in life, but she decided to believe differently. She started seeing possibilities where others saw problems. Where others saw dead ends, she saw detours. Today, she owns 3 successful businesses and helps other women break out of poverty. She didn't have any advantages. She just believed in infinite possibilities. Your mind will work tirelessly to achieve what you believe is possible. The only limit to your possibilities is the limit you put on your thinking. When you remove these limits, when you start believing that anything is possible, your mind becomes a possibility finding. Third is acting despite fear. Fear is not your enemy, it's your compass. It points directly to what you need to do next. Every successful person you admire feels fear. The difference is they use it as fuel. When you feel fear, it means you're on the right track. It means you're growing, pushing boundaries, expanding your comfort zone. I remember talking to a successful public speaker who still gets nervous before every presentation. The day I stopped feeling nervous, he told me, is the day I stopped growing. He doesn't wait for the fear to go away. He uses it to sharpen his focus, heighten his awareness, improve his performance. Fear is like a guard dog. It's doing its job. It's trying to protect you. You get to decide whether it keeps you inside the fence or whether you train it to work for you. The key isn't becoming fearless. It's learning to act with fear as your companion rather than your master. The fourth principle is persistence through failure. Thomas Edison didn't fail 10,000 times trying to invent the light bulb. He successfully found 10,000 ways that didn't work. Each failure brought him closer to success. Your mindset must be bigger than your failures. Every setback is setting you up for a comeback. I know a writer who was rejected by one of two famous 6 publishers before getting his first book deal. Now he's a best-selling author. What made the difference? He didn't see those 126 rejections as failures. He saw them as 126 steps toward success. Each no meant he was one step closer to yes. Most people quit just before their breakthrough moment. They treat failure as a stop sign when it's really a detour sign. Your response to failure determines your capacity for success. When you persist through failure, you're not just showing determination. You're building strength, gaining wisdom, and preparing for success. And the fifth principle, perhaps the most powerful of all, is gratitude as your foundation. This isn't about being thankful when things go right. It's about being thankful, period. Gratitude is the antidote to fear, doubt, and scarcity thinking. When you're grateful, you can't be angry. When you're grateful, you can't be afraid. When you're grateful, you attract more things to be grateful for. I've seen gratitude transform people's lives faster than any other mindset shift. A businessman I know was on the verge of bankruptcy. Instead of focusing on what he was losing, he started focusing on what he still had: his health, his family, his skills, his determination. That shift in focus changed everything. It cleared his mind, boosted his energy, and helped him see solutions he'd been blind to before. Gratitude isn't just an emotion. It's a tool. It's a way of programming your mind to look for opportunities instead of obstacles, abundance instead of scarcity, possibilities instead of problems. Start each day with gratitude, and you'll be amazed at how many more things you find to be grateful for. These 5 principles work together. Responsibility gives you power. Belief in possibilities gives you vision. Acting despite fear gives you courage. Persistence through failure gives you strength. And gratitude gives you perspective. Together, they create an unstoppable mindset. These principles aren't just nice ideas. They're practical tools. They work if you work them. They transform lives if you apply them. They're the difference between staying where you are and becoming who you're meant to be. Daily practice. Your mindset is like a garden. You can't plant seeds and expect them to grow without daily care. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you turn on the news, before you let the world in, you need to tend to your mental garden. Start with these 3 questions. What am I excited about? What difference will I make today? These questions program your mind for success before the day even begins. Write down your answers. The act of writing makes it real, makes it stick. I know a CEO who transformed her entire company by starting this practice. She noticed that her mood in the first hour of the morning would set the tone for her whole team's day. So she created a morning ritual: 30 minutes of silence, 3 pages of writing, 10 minutes of visualization. Simple practices, but they changed everything. Her team started noticing the difference. The office energy shifted. Productivity increased. All because one person decided to manage her mindset first thing in the morning. Your thoughts are like a running commentary in your head. Most people let this commentary run wild, like a radio playing whatever station it happens to pick up. But you can learn to be the programmer of your mental radio station. When a negative thought comes in, switch the station. When doubt creeps in, change the channel. This isn't about suppressing negative thoughts. It's about choosing which thoughts you give airtime to. Here's a technique I teach: the 5-minute reset. Whenever you notice your thoughts spinning in a negative direction, set a timer for 5 minutes. In those 5 minutes, write down everything that's bothering you. Then, for each problem, write one possible solution or one thing you're grateful for about the situation. This simple practice can shift your entire mental state. Your environment shapes your thoughts more than you realize. Look around your space right now. What messages is it sending to your mind? Are you surrounded by clutter or clarity, by inspiration or distraction? Your environment should reflect the mindset you want to maintain. I visited a successful artist's studio once. Before she starts painting each day, she spends 15 minutes organizing her space. A cluttered studio makes for cluttered thinking, she told me. She removes anything that doesn't serve her creativity. She positions her tools exactly where she needs them. She creates an environment that supports her best work. The same principle applies to your home, your office, your car, any space where you spend significant time. Remove what doesn't serve you. Add what inspires you. Create an environment that pulls you toward success instead of pushing you toward distraction. Your phone is part of your environment too. Those notifications are like little thought interruptions. Each one pulls you out of your focus state and into reaction mode. Take control. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Schedule specific times for email and social media. Design your digital environment as carefully as your physical one. The most important part of your environment is the people in it. Jim Rohn said you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at your 5. Are they lifting you up or holding you back? This isn't about abandoning relationships. It's about being intentional with your time and energy. I once coached a man who couldn't figure out why he kept falling short of his goals. When we analyzed his daily routine, we discovered he was spending 2 hours every day listening to coworkers complain during lunch. 2 hours of negative programming, 5 days a week. He started eating lunch in a nearby park instead, using that time to read, plan, and recharge. Within months, his performance transformed. Be selective about who you let into your mental space. Seek out people who challenge you to grow, who believe in possibilities, who take responsibility for their lives. Distance yourself from chronic complainers, excuse makers, and dream stealers. Create what I call your personal board of directors. People who support your growth and hold you accountable. This could be a mentor, a coach, a success partner, or simply friends who are committed to their own growth. Meet with them regularly. Share your goals, celebrate your wins, learn from your setbacks. Your daily practices aren't just habit. They're investments in your future self, every morning ritual, every thought management technique, every environmental choice is shaping who you're becoming. Make these choices consciously. Make them carefully. Make them count. The transformation process. Change happens in an instant, but transformation takes time. Your brain has neural pathways, habits of thought, that have been carved over years. Creating new pathways takes consistent effort. I'm going to give you a 30-day mindset challenge. For the next 30 days, you're going to guard your mind like it's the most precious thing you own, because it is. No negative news first thing in the morning. No complaining, not even once. When a negative thought comes up, you're going to replace it immediately with a positive one. You're going to write down your goals every single morning and every single night. You're going to visualize your success for at least 10 minutes each day. You're going to find someone who has achieved what you want to achieve and study them. I worked with a sales executive who took this challenge. His first week was tough. He didn't realize how much negative self-talk was running through his mind until he started monitoring it. But by week 2, something shifted. His sales calls became more confident. His presentations more compelling. By the end of 30 days, he doubled his monthly sales. The market hadn't changed. The products hadn't changed. His mindset had changed. Think of your mind like a muscle. Just as a physical muscle needs consistent training to grow stronger, your mind needs consistent training to develop new thought patterns. Every time you catch a negative thought and replace it with a positive one, you're doing a mental push-up. Every time you choose gratitude over complaint, you're doing a mental squat. Every visualization session is like a mental workout. The science behind this is fascinating. Your brain physically changes as you develop new thought patterns. It's called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. The more you practice a new way of thinking, the stronger these connections become. This isn't about perfection. You're not going to get it right every time. You'll have moments of doubt, days of struggle, times when old thought patterns try to reassert themselves. This is normal. It's part of the process. What matters is not that you never slip, but that you always get back up. Create accountability. Tell someone about your 30-day challenge. Better yet, find someone to do it with you. When you verbalize your commitment, it becomes more real. When you have someone to report to, you're more likely to follow through. I know a group of entrepreneurs who meet every Monday morning to share their mindset wins and challenges from the previous week. They celebrate each other's successes and help each other through struggles. They've created what I call a mindset mastermind, a support system for transformational thinking. Measure your progress, keep a journal, rate your mindset each day on a scale of 1 to 10. Write down your wins, no matter how small. Write down your challenges and how you overcame them. This isn't just record keeping, it's evidence building. You're building evidence that you can change, that you can grow, that you can succeed. One of my clients, a retired teacher, started this practice at age 65. She'd always wanted to write a children's book, but thought she was too old to start. Each day, she recorded her progress, not just in writing, but in mindset. But they 7 believed this might be possible. Day 15, can't believe I waited so long to try this. Today, she's published 3 books and speaks at schools about following your dreams at any age. Track your transformational moments. When did you choose courage over comfort? When did you persist despite doubt? When did you turn a setback into a comeback? These moments are gold. They're proof that your mindset is shifting. Pay attention to what triggers your old thought patterns. Notice what situations, people, or environments tend to pull you back into limiting beliefs. This awareness is crucial for long-term transformation. You can't change what you don't notice. Look for evidence of your new mindset taking hold. Maybe you're handling stress differently. Maybe you're seeing opportunities where you used to see obstacles. Maybe you're bouncing back faster from setbacks. These are signs that your transformation is working. Your mind will believe whatever you tell it. If you tell it you can, it will believe you. If you tell it you can, it will believe that too. The choice is yours, and it's a choice you make every single moment, every single day. The impact of this choice. Think about how your life would be different 1 year from now if you maintained an unstoppable mindset every single day. Think about the impact on your family, your work, your community. Think about the legacy you'll leave. Here are your immediate steps. Tonight, before you go to bed, take out a piece of paper. Write down 3 things. The person you are right now, the person you're committed to becoming, and 1 action you'll take tomorrow to begin the transformation. Don't make it complicated. Don't make it perfect. Just make it real. Tomorrow morning, wake up 30 minutes earlier than usual. Spend those minutes in silence with your thoughts. Not planning, not worrying, just being present with the person you're becoming. Then write down your top 3 goals. Not for the year, not for the month, but for tomorrow. Small steps, taken consistently, create lasting change. I remember working with a factory worker named James. His immediate step was simple. He decided to spend his lunch break reading instead of complaining with coworkers. 1 book led to another. Insights led to action. Within 2 years, he had started his own business. It didn't start with a grand plan. It started with 1 small decision. Your long-term vision. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself 5 years from now, living with this new mindset. What does your life look like? Who are you helping? What problems are you solving? What dreams are you achieving? Make this vision so real you can touch it, taste it, feel it. This isn't daydreaming, this is programming. Every time you visualize your future self, you're creating a blueprint for your mind to follow. The clearer the blueprint, the better the results. Your legacy. What story will people tell about you? Not just your family and friends, but the lives you'll touch through your work, your example, your transformed mindset. Every person who's ever changed the world started with changing their mind. I want you to make a commitment right now. Not to me, not to anyone else, but to yourself. Commit to guarding your mindset with the same intensity you'd guard your most precious possession. Commit to replacing every limiting thought with an empowering one. Commit to being the example that shows others what's possible. Take out your phone right now. Set a reminder for the same time tomorrow. When it goes off, ask yourself, what have I done today to strengthen my mindset? What thought patterns have I changed? What actions have I taken toward my vision? Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can walk out of here the same person you were when you walked in, thinking the same thoughts, getting the same results. Or you can decide that today is your turning point. Today is the day you take control of your mind, and therefore your life. The world is full of people waiting for things to happen, waiting for their turn, waiting for the right time, waiting for permission. But you're not going to wait anymore. You're going to decide. You're going to act. You're going to transform. Let me leave you with this final story. In 1993, I met a janitor at a local high school. Every day, He'd clean the classrooms after the students left. But unlike others in his position, he didn't just clean. He read. He'd pick up the textbooks, study the lessons on the boards, absorb everything he could. The teachers started noticing. They'd find him solving complex math problems on his break, reading advanced science texts during lunch. One day, a teacher asked him why he did this. His answer changed my understanding of mindset forever. I'm not a janitor, he said. I'm an educator in training. Every classroom I clean is preparing me for the classroom I'll lead. Today, that man is a high school principal. He didn't wait for opportunities. He created them with his mind first, then his actions followed. What you've been cleaning, waiting for someone else to give you permission to lead. Think about the classrooms in your life where you've been playing small, telling yourself you're not ready, not qualified, not enough. Let me tell you something with absolute certainty. You were born ready. You were born with everything you need to achieve everything you want. The only person who needs to believe this is you. 20 years from now, you will inevitably arrive somewhere. The question is, will it be somewhere you chose to go or somewhere you drifted to? Your mindset will make that decision. Remember that morning in my kitchen? That moment of decision changed everything for me? Your moment is right now. The only question is, what are you going to do with it? The power is in your mind. The time is now. The choice is yours. Make it count. Thank you.